I believe that's where I get my bloodline from, to be a strong leader to lead this tribe. His sweet spot.
I support her just by being around her, trying to comfort her, because I know from my heart that I know she loves her people and she wants to take them forward. I'm a silversmith. I try to make her look nice by making her jewelry, and she's an important lady in my life, and I'm proud of her for what she's doing for her people.
The Mescalero Apache tribe is unusual because there has been 3 women presidents, and I myself, the 3rd woman president for the Mescalero Apache tribe. Mr. Wendell Chino hired me as a tribal council secretary, and I worked for him for 8 years. What I saw in Mr. Chino, he'd done his business in Apache. And at the time, all the tribal council members knew how to speak Apache. And when you speak Apache, it's real easy to get business done across the table. And it's very important that we don't lose our language.
Part of the larger structure and culture of boarding schools was to be punished for speaking their languages. My grandmother, like others of her generation, stopped speaking the language, at least in public. And it wasn't until later on in life where she, came to a place where it mattered who she was. It mattered that she was able to speak and still hold on to her language, despite the atrocities of being raised in a boarding school. And it wasn't until she was approached by another linguist and asked whether she was interested in writing and documenting the Tewa language. And it was completely unheard of at that time because everything was orally conveyed. A lot of the kids in the 70s at that time could not pronounce their names or didn't remember their Tewa names. So she was always writing this down for them. And she talks about this story as what are new tools that we can think about to teach the younger generation how to speak and how to read and really reconnect to our traditional values. And so writing the language down in a dictionary form was one step to achieving those goals.
This is how we start our story, and it means a long time ago. There lived a little rabbit along the banks of the Rio Grande.
Born in 1912 and raised in Oke-Awenge, Esther Martinez dedicated her life to preserving the culture, stories, and Tewa language of her people.
A lot of her stories she learned from her grandfather. She really embarked on this idea of what it meant to convey history.
He's going sniffing at all the little footprint, because each little footprint smells like delicious rabbit.
So while he's holding up the rock at the edge of the cliff, the rabbit is able to take off and be free.
A highly respected storyteller, educator, and linguist, she was awarded a National Heritage Fellowship by the National Endowment for the Arts in 2006. Later that year, Congress honored her legacy by passing the Esther Martinez Native American Language Act, which authorized funding for tribal programs to prevent the loss of heritage languages and culture.
And this was really to honor all people living and teaching and wanting to pass on these languages.
Native languages hold unique knowledge, culture, and worldviews that cannot be translated into English. Of the more than 400 original languages in North America, only 175 are still spoken, mostly by elders, and all are endangered. In New Mexico, there are 8 indigenous languages. For spiritual and cultural reasons, several tribes do not allow their languages to be written or spoken outside their communities.
As a child, I grew up in Santo Domingo Pueblo, and my mother reminded me that my dad only spoke Keres. I remember him singing to me in Keres, and then my grandma and my uncles, my aunties, that's all they spoke. As I started to grow up, I just wanted to learn it more because having your own language is awesome. A former teacher from Santa Fe in school emailed my mother saying there was a casting call for Coca-Cola, that they were going to be doing it in Santa Fe. My mother, I've been begging her about wanting to be a model or an actress or a singer. It was a chance, so I took it, and I'm glad I did. It was after we shot the commercial, and then they asked me if I wanted to be a part of the singing in the background. They told me what I was going to sing, and they asked me if I could sing it in my native language. Right away, a million thoughts started running through my head. I just stayed in my room thinking if singing America the Beautiful and Karis would be a good thing for my pueblo or if it would be a negative thing for my pueblo. I was raised traditionally saying keep everything within the pueblo because this is the way we do things. This is our way. This is how we're strong. My mom went to the governor to ask for approval because I was having doubts saying no, I shouldn't. So having approval from the governor really helped me with it, with my decision making too. I hoped that it brought joy to their heart, hearing our language being out there.
In Navajo, there's a saying that says, the sacred begins at the tip of my tongue. So everything a person says is traditionally is very carefully considered, because once you say something, you can't take it back. In fact, there's not a way in Navajo to say that you're sorry.
As I grew up down here, I met a man. He was from Georgia. And we hit it off okay, you know, and then I got pregnant when I was 19. My mother always instituted to me, you better not be pregnant and not married. You have to be married. So I was really, really scared. To be honest with you, I was really scared to tell her I was pregnant. And then when I finally did, I was 5 months along and we got married. I should have never got married because it was a very abusive marriage. He was into drugs, he was into drinking. He took practically it all out on me. So that's where my advocacy for domestic violence came from. I'll tell the women, you know, I'm like the light at the end of the tunnel. It can be done, but a lot of hard work.
She has that understanding that she grew up with in her background of our people, but she has that inner strength as well. She can go to DC and lobby just as effectively as any man could, because she's not one to back down from a challenge. If she knows she's right, she's going to fight for it.
Native women are the victims of battery, sexual assault, and rape, more than twice that of any other group. Because tribal courts do not have jurisdiction over non-Indians, many of these crimes are not prosecuted. Taking effect in 2015, the Violence Against Women Reauthorization Act gives tribes the power to prosecute non-Indians accused of domestic violence in Indian country.
The Violence Against Women Act is something that I think is a good start and a good tool that tribes can now stand up and begin to use in the protection of their communities. And so we need to figure out how is it that we find good role models and good examples of healthy, vibrant relationships that support and honor our women.
Many New Mexico tribes hold coming-of-age ceremonies to honor the transition of girls to womanhood. Among the Navajo, it is the Canalda. The Mescalero Apache hold the sunrise dance. The butterfly dance of Powaki Pueblo is a courtship ritual in which a girl receives the strength of her community as she enters adulthood.
Only Apache people lived in this area. During our casta, my grandmother and my mother and my aunts and all the women in the tribe, they taught us many new lessons because we were becoming a woman. It's a 4-day ceremony that celebrates Mother Earth, Nico's sun, and all the feminine deities. People celebrated, they had their round dances, and it was just really a wonderful, wonderful time.
As a woman leader and talking with other women leaders, I believe that we do see things differently. I believe that we see more of a whole picture about how what I might do is going to impact somebody else in the community.
Women United really believes in creating beloved families.
As I've worked professionally and with other women leaders across the country, women will stick it through and get it done.
Give love and thanks to our cloud people.
As a woman, I know I've got to do a good job because it opens doors for other women, and they desperately want those doors open.
Pueblo culture has fostered very strong women, and the role of women in a community is very honored. The community is not balanced if the male and female are not equal. One of the most interesting things about my relationship to Santa Clara is that the religion or the spirituality is based in place. It's not something that you can practice elsewhere. Even though I might carry with me my belief systems, I can't practice those things without my entire community. I come from a very, very strong family of women. They're actually notorious, actually. You must be a Naranjo woman. Nora Naranjo Morris, who is my grandmother's younger sister, she is an amazing artist. I mean, breaking the boundaries of what a Pueblo woman is and what that means and her conceptual approach to things. My grandma